This is the High Performers Club podcast with your host, executive life coach and entrepreneur, Jennifer Schell. Join Jen as she explores what drives individuals to excel in their careers, sport, personal development, and the pursuit of passions. Our guests share their experiences, challenges, and triumphs en route to success. So grab your notebook and get ready to join the club of high achievers.
Welcome back to the High Performers Club, where we dive into the lives and journeys of incredible individuals who inspire us to reach our highest potential. I'm your host, Jennifer Schell, and today I am truly honored to introduce our next guest, 23-year-old Simon Koblovsky. A few years ago, Simon was in a devastating car accident that left him with a spinal cord injury, paralyzed from the waist down, and confined to a wheelchair. Despite facing such immense challenges, Simon has remained incredibly positive and is committed to building a meaningful and successful life, always looking forward and never backward. Simon's story is one of resilience, determination, and unwavering spirit. He is open about his journey and shares his unique perspective on life, proving that even in the face of adversity, we can find strength and purpose. Join us as Simon walks us through his journey, offering insights and inspiration for us all. Simon Koblovsky, welcome to the High Performers Club podcast. I am so excited to have you here, and I look forward to being able to share you with the world. Being my cousin, we got to spend some time together a few weeks ago at your home, and listening to your outlook on life and your story over the last couple of years, I have not been around more inspiring energy ever. And so I really thought that you would have such a great impact on anyone, any listener. And thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here. It's really cool to kind of come on the podcast, share my story, and especially you being my cousin too. That's really neat as well. Kind of the family aspect of it too.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just beyond impressed with the time we got to spend together a couple weeks ago. We had not seen each other in person since your accident, and
longer than that. It was we've seen each other in so long,
and seeing you in this different headspace, and really adapting to a different lifestyle after your accident, I think could inspire so many people, whether in a similar situation or, just applying it to their own life and challenges faced. So I'm really grateful that you're here to share. And so a few years ago, you were in a tragic accident. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the actual happenings?
So in 2019, I think it was Canada Day. It was the night of Canada Day. I was kind of hanging out with my friends at my house. Just have a couple of drinks by the fire, whatever. And we wanted to go to my other friend's house just to hang out, spend the rest of the night. So we were like, okay, we've all been drinking. So we're like, the smart thing to do here is find a DD, right? Like somebody who hasn't been drinking, somebody who can drive us and take care of that. So my friend calls one of his acquaintances or one of his friends who was supposed to be a DD. We were told he wasn't drinking, anything like that. And then we go get in the car, and it wasn't till I get in the car and he sped off from my house that we had all realized that something wasn't right. He didn't seem quite all like in his right mind. Like he seemed like
clearly not sober.
Exactly. So at that point, me and one of my other friends were saying, stop the car. Like we know you've been drinking. We want to get out. Stop. We asked him multiple times. Never stopped the car. The next corner we took, we hit a culvert going, I think it was around 80 or something like that. And the car flipped 3 or 4 times, not roll, it flipped. And then we landed back on the wheels. I was not awake. I was not conscious at this point. and he had tried to take off again and hit another culvert. And then at this point, it's kind of all just a blur for me. I have no idea really what happened. I remember getting pulled out of the car by the fire department, and I remember waking up at the hospital. And that was the extent of the accident.
Now, if I remember correctly, I think I heard this from your dad, but your seatbelt actually malfunctioned, like didn't work in the back.
Yeah, so that was another part of it, was why I got hurt, was because I had got in the car, went to put my seatbelt on, and it wouldn't click, like when your seatbelt clicks in, right? Wouldn't click in. So I'm trying to click it in, and I go, I asked the driver, I said, why? Like, the seatbelt doesn't work? Like, what's going on? He goes, no, that one doesn't work back there.
Oh
So
my God.
immediately I was like, okay, so now I have to, seatbelt doesn't work and I can't get him to stop the car. And it all happened so fast. It was just like, it almost sounds like it was over a long period of time, but this was all within like a minute and a half, not even.
And the wildest part is the eventual car wreck ended up, you were only minutes from your home.
Yeah, I was actually probably like, if you went straight line to where it was, because the road was curved, obviously, but a straight line to where it was 300, 400 meters away from my house.
That is absolutely unbelievable.
And they always say it happens close to home. You never think or believe it until it happens to you, right?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, we know that you sustained quite serious injuries. What happened to the other, the friends in the car? They were pretty untouched.
Yeah. So, just to clarify that as well, I have a T11, T12 spinal fracture. I'm paralyzed waist down, and I'm told I'll never walk again. I can try, but that's what I'm told. So that was my injuries. And then like a bunch of other things on top of that, like whatever. But
whatever, just a puncture lung.
And then one of my friends, he like serious concussion. His knees were cut open, like from the glass climbing out of the window, the broken window. So he needed stitches on his knees. And then we're not sure if it's from the accident. They can't really prove it. But one of my friends that was in the accident started having seizures not long after. And I'm not sure if that might have been from head trauma, but they can't prove it. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So there was, a different level of injury sustained by everybody, and you ended up in the most severe situation.
Unfortunately, yeah. And that's just partially because the seatbelt, right? Everybody else had their seatbelt on because it worked.
Right. So there's major, point in that too, is the importance of seatbelts. And that is not to be ignored. So I am sitting close to a t-shirt I got that, part of the fundraiser essentially, or, GoFundMe when this all happened. Everyone got t-shirts that said, "I got this, Sai," because that is what you had said to your dad. Do you remember that experience, just telling him you got it? Or could you give us a little background on the quote on the t-shirt?
So, yeah, that was one of the parts when I said that was one of the last things I remember was in the hospital. And I remember it was early in the morning. This would have been at like 6 a.m. or something before I went in for surgery. And I was there with the doctor and my dad. I don't remember waking up. I just remember all of a sudden like conscious. And there's my dad there, the doctor there. And he basically just said to me, you broke your back. He said, you're never going to walk ever again. He's like, I'm like telling me this. And I could tell my dad just got a look on his face. He doesn't know what to think. And I just basically they were wheeling me out of the room to go for my surgery, and I just looked at my dad, and I could tell he just didn't know what to do with himself at that point. I looked at him and I said, "Dad, I got this. Like, don't worry." And then they took me in after that, and that was one of the things that, well, they did. They said they wanted to make shirts because they thought that was pretty nice, I guess. So
it's incredible. And, you know, for you in those moments to make sure everybody else feels the reassurance, you know, was pretty spectacular.
But that's a big thing for me too. I'm super family oriented. Like I like to think that like I take care of other people before myself. So that was part of it. I was like, whatever happens to me, I'll be fine. I'm not worried about that. It's I want to take care of my family and make sure they're in the right headspace and they know that I know that it'll be okay is what matters.
Yeah. That's incredible. And I know that it had such a great impact on your parents and your sister and all the people around you. Just you maintaining that mindset about all of it, that you were going to be okay regardless of what the outcome was. And you have been, and you have put forth so much effort to, you know, whether it's been rehab or learning new skills, you know, for you, what was the process like, you know, kind of coming back home? I know there was a few months, it was awful. It was in COVID and limited visitation, and you were in rehab for a long period of time. You came home and had a major adjustment to a recently built accessible apartment in your parents' home. What was that learning process like for you?
First of, yeah, like learning everything and just being able to start adapt, like is one thing in the hospital, like, right? Because there's all the people there to help or whatever, or to teach you this or teach you that, but it really doesn't like start to set in kind of till you get home, and then you realize, okay, like now I'm home, everything's over. There's a lot of like adapting to do, which was overwhelming that they did that much to my house to make it that accessible like that. That was really overwhelming for me, and I can't thank everybody enough that did that.
Just
But it's
overwhelmed
like,
with emotion. There was like an
exactly,
incredible amount of community support.
how much people came together and just helped me who didn't have to. Like they took time out of their day to come help me. And then adapting though is it's a process. It's hard to get used to everything, and you get home and it's like, okay, well, this is kind of like my life now, and it's not like I was like, woe was me, it's a problem. It's just it's hard to get used to, and once you're home, it's not something that like it's really hard to explain. Like you sit there and you'll think about it, and it's like I just can't. Sorry, I just one thing that it's hard to put into words. It's just so much different stuff goes through your mind. It's like what I've been through the hospital, through everything that's like happened, and now it's like, okay, I'm done. I'm home. It was very overwhelming and hard to like get used to.
Yeah, and there's so many things that you probably didn't consider and that would require adjustments.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Like just little things like the stairs, for example. Like I'm not going to walk up the set of stairs anymore. So it's like I have my stair lift now. And that only goes to the main floor. I don't go upstairs anymore. I haven't seen the upstairs of my house in like since before it's just little things like that you take advantage of, like take for granted. Sorry, before.
When we were over a few weeks ago, I know my daughter was watching you come up the stairs and the other kids that were there as well. And you had said to them, man, I need to soup this up. I need this to go faster. So if there's anybody listening that wants to soup up his chairlift, we'll be,
yeah, please reach out. I need a faster acorn stair lift.
The acorn, just absolutely lightning.
Oh yeah. That's great.
Yeah. But, you know, in adapting, there was also a part of it where You have been told multiple times that your strength and your physical ability, because you were in unbelievable shape, still are in unbelievable shape. Your physical health has always been such a huge important. Yes. And you take pride in it. And the doctors had walked you through, like you could have sustained even more like serious injury had your core not been as strong as it was.
Yeah. So, well, I've always played competitive sports. I played competitive hockey since I was 9 years old. And then after that, I've always been in the gym, like heavily. When I stopped playing hockey, I was always in the gym. So I like to think I was in okay shape, but that's what they told me was that was one thing is if my core strength wasn't what it was, because in that type of situation, your body just tenses up essentially to stop all your like to protect your core, your internal organs. So what had happened was that's what my core did, and they pretty much said I probably would have had enough internal bleeding that I would have died if my core wasn't as strong as it was, because I already had pretty bad like bleeding. But they said if it was much worse, so like if I wasn't as strong or like something else had like it could have been a whole different story. So I have to be thankful. Thankfully, I kept myself in somewhat good shape.
And still have. It's pretty incredible because you now are able to manage. And I know early stages, your occupational therapist was mind blown about how you could get yourself in and out of your chair. Like your sheer body, like your strength to hold up your body weight was like unmatched.
But that just, and that's another thing. Like it doesn't come, like it takes a long time to get that strength. Like I remember being in the hospital and the first times they were sitting me up on the bed, I couldn't sit up for more than 30 seconds because my body just didn't have the strength anymore. It took a long time to be able to actually get in and out of my wheelchair out of bed without having to put a board to slide over kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a long time, but it's strength is a big thing, obviously, when my arms are my legs now. So I got to keep my body strong and take care of my shoulders and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Well, and now you have a car, which I think is so cool. And you're side by side cruising around, giving you another sense of independence as you kind of go through this journey. What's the transition like into a new type of car and driving and getting yourself in and out of there?
Um, it was it's very interesting driving a car with your hands. It's different. It takes a lot of getting used to, right? Because now you're going from using your feet to using your gas, and then now you're using your hands, and it's so touchy. The first time you go to do it, you're just about putting yourself in the ditch.
Just like, zoom and jam, zoom and jam.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it is. So there was a pretty big learning curve there, but thankfully I bought my off road vehicle, my side by side, like long before I got my car, and I threw hand controls in there myself, and I kind of taught myself to drive with hand controls like that. So that was a pretty interesting learning curve as well. I kind of just went to a big gravel parking lot and just drove around for a couple hours. But yeah, once I went and did the test for the hand controls, the guy goes, he's sitting there and I'm driving and we pull up to the first stop sign. He looks at me and he goes, "You've done this before, haven't you?" I'm like, "No."
Off the record. Off the record.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness. As you're sitting here and explaining all of what it's taken to get to this place, your experiences, and most importantly, your major accomplishments through this process, what does reflecting on it in that way do for you? How does it feel knowing you've hit these major milestones and learned so many new skills along the way?
It doesn't seem like it like that to me. That's the thing, is like when I look at it from myself, I don't I don't look back and go, okay, I've done this and done this. I go, okay, well, what can I do that's even better in the future? Like people are like, oh yeah, you did this and this. I'm like, yeah, that's that's cool and that's nice. I got over this accident and whatever. But what would be even cooler is if I like went did something for the Olympics or like something like that. Like it's not what I've done. It's like what I can do even better that I look forward to. So I don't often look back and reflect like, oh, like I can't believe I did this. I just don't see it that way.
The mentality of looking forward, I think, is something that really struck myself and Victor, my husband, while we were there with family. Um, can you share with us just the journey of how you developed that kind of mantra of only looking forward and not back after such a life altering experience?
I think I got a lot of that like mindset in general and things like that, like from my dad. 'Cause my dad's a super positive person, glass half full type of guy. Like he's not like there's always something good and something positive, and he'll always tell me the same things, like never look back, always look forward. And I think that was part of it. And then I went through like a big thing there with my accident, but so did my family. Like I almost died, and like my dad was there, and he didn't know if I was going to live or like it was down the road. He knew the accident. He was there when I was getting pulled out of the car. Like he didn't know if I was going to live or not. Like it's the thing. Like part of that looking forward was talking to my family, being like, hey, like this happened, guys, but like what, like I'm gonna be fine. Like in the like looking forward, I'm gonna be fine. You guys don't have to worry. That was part of it too. Was just trying to like give them kind of a sense, like they know that I'm okay. You know what I mean? Like they know that I'm not in a bad place mentally and that I'm like, woe is me, because what's that going to do for anybody if I'm like, oh, poor me? Like, like how's that going to
Yeah.
look?
And it's also a bit of a cycle, right? So if you can reassure them and they can feel grounded in that, and then they can help you when you need, and you can, right, do the same for them. It's like this cycle of support. So
Exactly.
everybody's there for each other simultaneously. And that's so important when everybody's experienced any type of traumatic situation. But from it to like for it to start with you is pretty incredible.
Yeah, and like they were my support system through the whole thing. So like we were just to make sure that everybody was okay. You know what I mean? Was big for me.
Hmm. How do you think this has changed your perspective on life overall?
Life's too short. You never know when something can happen, and you're never going to think it's you, or you're never going to think it's going to be you until it happens to you. So take advantage of every little like positive thing, opportunity you get. Take advantage, travel, do things. Maybe if one day somebody goes, okay, um, I don't know, I'm trying to think like if you don't do this one thing for work, then you're going to be in shit. Or you can go out and take this opportunity that your best friend said he's going to pay for your trip for you guys to go travel. It's like, you know what? Like, when are you ever going to get that offer? Go do it. Like life's too short to just one, worry about stupid things because people worry too much, and two, to not take advantage of things or let your anxiety get in the way or be like, well, what if this happens? Just go do it. Like, just live it step by step. Like, you know what I mean? It's the same thing
Hmm.
with me traveling. Like, I want to travel, and it's like, okay, well, if I go to some country in Europe, it's probably not like that was built in the 1900s. It's not going to be accessible, but that's something I'm willing to, you know what? I'll go. I want to because I want to go, and I'll figure it out once I get there. Like, well, it's whatever.
Yeah. And, even in those moments, just thinking about the potential of inspiring change or inspiring some of that accessibility along the way, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. That's another thing too, is the accessibility is a whole nother thing on its own.
Well, I mean, something you would never have to consider until you're looking for places to go that are accessible. And all of a sudden, it's not as readily available as makes sense for somebody.
Oh, 100%. And it's like, once you're in a wheelchair, you go, wow, you can't get anywhere. Like things are not as accessible as they should be.
Absolutely. Um, and I think, we talked about this a lot too, but just the notion of you inspiring change or support moving forward, it's a big part of you looking ahead is who can you help that's been in a similar situation? I know that you have had a number of young men reach out to you knowing your story for support because they've experienced something similar. What does it mean for you to be that kind of inspiration for change or support?
Um, it means a lot that other people want to message me and ask me things, and like they look up to me, and it's weird because it's like what makes my story different from yours, or like what makes you want to look up, I'm talking guys that have messaged me that are the same age as me, that have been through the same like type of accident. It's like, well, why are you like looking up to me for this or asking me? It's like we've both been through the same situation. We're both the same age. So it feels kind of weird, but it's also at the same time, it's like I'm just happy to give anybody insight or anybody information or like things to help their journey in being in like having spinal cord injury. Cause like it's a small knit community, and like we know all the problems that we have, like each other have. Like it's nice to have other people to talk to. So I can see that's why they would reach out as well. But it's just nice to be, feels good that somebody would want to reach out and ask me stuff.
Well, I think that's so humble of you to, almost be in disbelief that you would be the person. But with the mindset you have and your approach and your openness to discuss, the situation and how it's impacted you, I think that you would have a ton of influence on somebody who's struggling because
Hmm.
you've made a different, and I'm not suggesting anything mental health wise is a choice. I just mean you've made the choice yourself to, you know, select the lens you're looking through very specifically.
Yeah, exactly. But like on in that perspective too, I feel like everybody says, "Yeah, your outlook is so good," but it's like that's just how I was raised, and it's like I couldn't see it any other way. Like I just would just never have any other outlook on it. Like it's hard for me to imagine myself ever being depressed about it or something like that. You know what I mean? It's just not me. It's not my family, not the way I was raised, nothing.
Yeah. Now, even with an incredibly positive outlook and always looking forward, there can be tough days. Um, what's something that uplifts you in a tough moment or day in your life?
Um, Same thing. One is, again, looking forward. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm having a bad day today, but it's like I've got some pretty cool opportunities that have been offered, but it's like I can look forward to stuff like that, like for sports, or like, yeah, I'm having a bad day today, or like whatever. But guess what? I get to go to the ski hill tomorrow, or I get to go play ice hockey the next day, or like, you know what I mean? It's like there's always something to look forward to.
Yeah. And the sport piece is so cool. Again, aligning with your strength has always been and remained. You've tested out a ton of different parasport
And
opportunity.
and that's another thing about keeping a positive mindset is like, yeah, I've been in a spinal cord injury, but I'm not going to sit here and like not do anything. Being active still is a big part of um, like keeping mentally sane and not going crazy.
Totally.
Is like meeting new people and trying new sports. So that's a big part of that too.
This winter, you took to the slopes.
Yeah.
The videos are the videos are insane. You not only are just like radiating joy, and I'm sure it fulfills some sort of like need for speed because man, you're flying. What was it like finding something that you are now like, ooh, I think this is my sport?
It's really cool and it feels really good. Like I remember coming home the first day after I went skiing, and I called my dad on the way home, and I was so excited, and I was like, Dad, I found my sport. I was like, I'm doing this. Like I think that night after the first night I went out, because I borrowed all my stuff from my buddy, I think. I went out, bought like a brand new North Face coat, Oakley goggles, bought the hell, like everything. I was like, I know this is it. I was like, I'm doing
I am all in.
Oh yeah, it's really cool. It's a blast.
You can even tell just looking at you, your energy is like, you're so excited and there's so much to look forward to. What are some of the coolest parts of experiencing the skiing and training with some of the athletes that you trained with?
Now I'm at the point where when I go out, not only do I learn more, but I enjoy helping other people that are learning skiing too. And like giving them tips when I'm out there and stuff like that is really cool. And I want to volunteer for the program that helped me learn as well. So I think helping other people as well helps me get out there a lot. But it's always fun to go alone because you don't get to go very fast when you're helping other people.
Yeah. So if you want to fly, that's the time.
That's my time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You've been invited to possibly go train with the national team this fall.
Yeah, that's super exciting. So I got offered through the program. They basically just said, hey, like, we think you're outgrowing the hill pretty fast. And I'm like, fair enough. So they asked me and they gave me the opportunity that if I want to, which I do, I'm looking forward to it, I can go out to Whistler and train with the Canadian Olympic team or get some do some weight training on like the hill, off the hill. And then, they'll take care of some of my skis and stuff like that. And it seems like a pretty wild opportunity that I just can't believe I was offered. It's pretty cool.
It's amazing to think about, starting something new, being so engaged, loving it so much, but then excelling at it to that degree. It's like, a little bit of the perfect storm, and then being able to train with incredible Paralympic athletes.
Would be amazing.
Yeah,
Right? That'll be super cool.
And further fuels just your reasons to continue to look forward.
Exactly. And like I said, I've always been competitive. So it's like, I'm always down to go to the next level with whatever sport I do. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, just fuel that competitive energy.
Exactly. That's awesome.
What would you offer somebody who is going through something that doesn't need to be life-altering, but facing challenges or setbacks in their life? What would you offer them?
One big thing is don't be afraid to talk to someone. We all have, I like to think that everybody has kind of one person in their life that's kind of their rock, super close to them, whether it's your wife, whether it's a best friend, whether it's your mom, dad, mine's my sister. Talk to people. If you're going through something tough, or talk to somebody, because I can't tell you right now how much that having somebody like my sister to talk to in hard times like that is saved my life. I don't know what I would have done without her or somebody to talk to. I don't even know if I'd be here. It's
Yeah, I love that. And I wonder if, how open you've been in reaching out for support, especially to your sister, Katie, and talking, if that contributes to why you're so comfortable speaking now, about the accident. And it's just been a therapeutic part of the process.
Yeah, that's part of it for sure. But I think the reason I'm so open, or I like to think I'm so open about talking about it, is because it's it's a learning experience, and I like just giving other people like my mindset on it, just giving like what happened, just telling the story, because I like people can take information, it can go in one ear out the other, or they can be like learn from other people's experiences, you know what I mean? Or you can take something from my story, which is like that's why like I don't mind sharing, like, and same thing, it's like even though these people who reach out who are in wheelchairs as well, it's like I I share my story with them because your story's your story. Like I know there's people who are afraid to talk about it. And it's like I know it was a traumatic event, but it's like don't be afraid to tell your story.
And the impact it has is so great
Exactly.
and so widespread. And that's why I was so compelled to be able to talk to you about your experience today and all you've learned and grown through is it's incredible. And the biggest thing I would say about being in your presence is the way you make everybody feel. And so that comfort and that kindness and then that mindset all together is like you're an energy unlike anything that I had the pleasure to be around. And I know you're destined for just incredible things.
Oh, that's super sweet. Thank you so much. And I try to be nice. I try to be a good energy to be around. 'Cause, like, you know what? Like, just treat people the way you want to be treated. Like, right? And how fun is it to be around someone who's grumpy all the time?
No, it's not.
Exactly.
It's not.
Exactly.
But it makes for, such an amazing experience. And I think just creating an openness around you for, just further connection with everybody is super cool. I also love that through this, you have taken up so many cool hobbies, like pilot's license to fly your drone because
Yeah.
you're an incredible drone pilot.
Yeah. Which is again like it's probably something I would have done before my accident, right? Like it's just like little things I can't go do now. Like I'm not gonna go play roller hockey or something with my buddy, like or something like that. It's like no, but now I can fly drones. Like how cool is that?
And
You know
the
what I
footage
mean?
is sick. Like
Exactly.
it's so good.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun to do. So just little hobbies and stuff like that.
And also taken up fishing quite seriously.
Yeah. Yep, that's a big one too. Yeah.
I feel like I have to go back to my roots at the World Fishing Network and get you connected with, somebody to go out on the water with.
Oh my God, yeah. Don't get me going. No, never gonna be home. I'm gonna be out on the water all the time. I guess there's nothing wrong with that, though.
There's
right?
nothing wrong with that. When you find something that fuels you, that fills your cup, I think, it is, you have to go all in on it.
Yeah.
Let yourself feel that good all the time. Okay, I have a couple quick questions for you, quick cues that I'm going to ask every guest. And you're only my second, so this is the second time around, but really interested to hear your answers. They don't have to be one word, just like whatever comes to your mind.
I'll just try and make it quick.
Listen, if they're long, that's okay too.
Okay.
We'll try to make them medium questions. What habit do you religiously commit to and couldn't live without?
Working out.
And now we know how the direct impact of that and that had on you.
That's a big one.
Can you describe yourself in one word?
Positive.
Yes, we've all learned that.
Positive.
What is the primary factor contributing to your success now and how you see yourself moving forward?
My dad.
Oh, I love that.
He's a big inspiration on everything I do.
Do you follow a specific motto or self-affirmation?
I don't think so. I think I've talked a lot about like the things I believe in, just being positive and looking into the future. Those are big.
Can you share a piece of advice that has strongly influenced you?
Piece of advice that is strong. Wow, I've got a lot.
How much time do you have?
um, well, piece of advice. There's a lot of advice I've gotten, but again, and I just seem to keep going back to my dad, but just glass half full. Like, you can't live your life being like, you can't like, oh, woe was me, this, that. It's like, no, like, you got to be positive about the things you do have.
Yeah, like this, it's about looking at what you do and feeling the gratitude
Exactly.
for the part that is half full. Yeah.
100%.
And that's always going to set you up to seek those pieces out.
Exactly.
Next question. What's your favorite chip flavor?
Ooh. This,
I know.
okay, so I hated salt and vinegar my entire life. And then one night I was like, I don't know why I'm craving salt and vinegar chips. So, like, I despised them. And then all of a sudden I went out, got a bag of them. Now they're my favorite chip.
Okay. In a stunning turn of events.
Yeah, like really weird.
Okay, I love that answer. There's like a backstory to the chip flavor. It's great.
Yeah.
When did you realize you were destined for big things?
Well, I don't think I'm destined for big things. I'm just think I could do big. Like, I wouldn't say I'm destined, but I think the opportunity's always there. And it's same for everybody. Like, the opportunity to be great is there for everybody. I don't think anybody's necessarily destined, but I think you create your own greatness and your own opportunities to be great.
Wow. That's going to be a soundbite that I'm going to live my life by. What is something interesting that not many people know about you?
Geez, I think the drone thing was one for sure. Like, not many people know that I have my drone pilot's license. That's kind of one thing I don't tell a lot of people, and I keep on the down low.
Oh my gosh, it is not on the down low now. I just spilled it.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry.
Maybe you should have waited so I could have kept that as one of my secrets. It's all good.
Oh my. Well, the things we do know about you are incredible. And I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day today to chat with me and, inspire anyone who is going to take the time to listen. You are something else.
Thank you for feeling like I'm worthy enough to be a guest on your awesome podcast. Like, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was, there was no chance that this wasn't going to happen after I got to listen to, just your perspective and the energy you share with everyone. And I thought it would be beneficial for any listener to experience it as well. So I'm really grateful you joined us, and I cannot wait to see all you accomplish.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, and maybe we'll have to get back together in like a year or so after I get back from the
the
training there.
And we'll follow along. I have some really cool. Yes.
Yes.
I have some really cool videos of you skiing I'm going to share when we're pushing this out. So I can't wait for everyone to see.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Si.